Test, can you hear me? Good morning, everybody. I hope you all have breakfast and coffee, and let's start our meeting, and then you can have more time at the end of our time together today to socialize. Hopefully there'll be some more food also. This is always the best part of my job, to see you all in person at an all-staff meeting, or anywhere in person for that matter, but all together at the same time can get better than that. So thank you for being here, and I also want to welcome those who are watching us online today, because we have a streaming YouTube video right now going on. So good morning to all of you, and I wish you could be here. We can't digitize the tacos to you, but hopefully you'll be at some of our next in-person events next month. I'm going to start and open our meeting with the land acknowledgement. UT Libraries honor and offer gratitude to past and present generations of indigenous peoples who have inhabited and cared for the land on which the University of Texas at Austin resides, and where we work, study, and learn. UT Libraries recognize the Alabama Coushatta, the Caddo, the Carrizo Comecrudo, the Coahuiltecan, Comanche, Kickapoo, Lipan, Apache, Tonkawa, Isleta del Sur Pueblo, and all the American Indian and indigenous peoples and communities who have been or have become a part of these lands and territories in what is now known as Texas. While honoring the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this place, we also acknowledge the painful history of genocide, forced removal from this territory, and assimilation, along with the ongoing injustices against indigenous peoples and native lands. As an academic institution that provides access to resources and information for research and learning purposes, It is UT Libraries' responsibility to support scholarship, grow partnerships, and foster an environment that celebrates and amplifies Indigenous voices and knowledge. Thank you. I am now going to quickly review the agenda with you. I'm always excited when we can introduce new people, and I see we will do so again this morning. Thanks, Elle. Following Elle, we will have the Library Staff Council updates by Nora Green. No, they should all be right here in the front row. So, following Nora, Stacy, Aggie, and Mary Kemp will tell us a little bit more about the work they do in administrative services. I love the opportunity at all staff meetings to get to know our libraries and our colleagues and what exactly they do. This is important. We have so many new people here, and we all want you to understand what we do, why we do it, so that you can feel the connections to what you do. Crystal and her team will provide us a website update, and then we'll have probably the major presentation of the morning about artificial intelligence. Aaron Choate, Michael Shensky, Michelle, Anna, and Corey all will give us short, brief presentations about the work and the engagement among the libraries and others on campus, and how we will approach some of the, I'd like to call it augmented intelligence, because nothing is artificial. It's all to help and enhance what we do. And then I will return at the end of the agenda to provide some more updates for you. So with that, we will just go straight into the order as listed, and I'm going to call up Al. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Before Al comes up to introduce new employees, I would like to introduce my newest report, Claire. Where's Claire? There she is. Claire, please stand up. Claire joined us on March 18th, so she has been coming back every day since then, so I think she likes it here so far. Claire has a PhD in comparative studies, comparative literature, from Stony Brook University, New York, a master's in aesthetic studies, and a bachelor's in literary studies from UT Dallas. She doesn't have a degree from UT, but we hired her. She served in various capacities at Texas Book Festival. I think all of us know Texas Book Festival since 2014, including development director and deputy director. Claire's office is in the administrative suite. If you haven't met her, I hope today is a good chance for you to meet her in person and for her to also see who her new colleagues are here at UT Library. So with that, thank you for being here, and now, Al, it's your turn.
Thank you, Lorraine. Good morning, everyone. My name's Al Carmona. I'm a human resource coordinator, and I am here to introduce the new hires that we've recently brought on board. And so the first new hire, and when I mention your name, please stand up if you're here so everyone can see who you are. The first new hire we have is Coyote Aishola. He goes by Kai. And so Kai is our new senior content management specialist with content management. Before joining UT Libraries, Kai came to the U.S. with a wealth of experience from Bowen University Library in Nigeria. He holds a master's degree in mass communication from Texas Tech University. At Bowen University, Kai spent a decade specializing in various aspects of academic librarianship. This included managing the collections, development, acquisitions, cataloging, and electronic databases. Notably, he held the position of Associate Head of Information Access Management. In this role, Kai provided research and instruction services to faculty and students. including teaching information literacy skills in the library's dedicated lab. Most recently, Kai transitioned to UT Libraries from Texas A&M Libraries and is passionate about getting his MLIS degree. Welcome, Kai. Next, we have Mary Kemp. Mary? Mary came to UT Libraries as the new finance manager in February. She has a bachelor's degrees, or she has 2 bachelor's degrees, one in economics and one in German from UT Austin. Mary has worked at UT in various capacities since 2005, most recently with financial and administrative services. Always an avid reader, she is excited to join libraries and be close to all the books. Mary has 2 kids she loves to talk about, as well as a dog and a cat. Welcome, Mary. And finally, we have Amy Santos. Amy? Yes, she's in the back. Amy is the newest branch supervisor with Branch and Borrow Services. She will supervise operations at the Benson Latin American Collection Library. She has a BA from the University of Washington and moved here last summer from the Seattle area, where she worked as a supervisor for Snow Isle Libraries. Outside of work, she loves spending time outdoors and is loving the Texas weather. We'll see when summer comes, Amy, if you'll feel the same way. Welcome, Amy. All right, that's all I got. Thank you all so much. Nora?
Hello, my name is Nora Greenstein-Biondi, and I am one of the co-chairs of Library Staff Council, here to talk to you about some events that's coming up. So most close to us is the Edible Book Festival. We're doing Eclipse Edition this year. It'll be on Monday, 11 to 1 in the staff lounge. We're gonna have trivia. We're gonna have lots of good pizza from Eastside Pies. And if you don't know what an edible book festival is, what we do is you make a food based on a pun of a book title. So like a house on mango cheesecake, for instance. And if you can do it even space themed, that would be extra cool. I'm planning on doing mine space themed. I'm very excited. So please come and eat with us, have fun, and it'll be really good. All right, next one. So we're having the tour of the Gem Gallery on April 24th at 1 p.m. There will be, I think, 15 slots. So when we send out the email, make sure that you go right away and sign up so that you can get your spot. I've heard it's beautiful and very interesting. All right, next one. And we also have the LSF tour, so Library Storage Facility. I've toured this before. It's amazing to see all of the books and media that we have. It's incredible. It's so much bigger than you can ever imagine. And that'll be on May 16th at 9 a.m. And then, so we had an anonymous comment come in, which we have an anonymous comment form for LSC, just plugging in that. That someone loved the writing contest, but they really wanted to bring back an art show. So we're going to be doing that. Apparently it was something that was done like way long ago. And so we're going to have people submit their art, whether that's painting or collage or knitting or woodworking, whatever you are really good at and really proud of. We're going to display it in the PCL Lounge from June to August. And we're going to be sending out that email in May to gather all the art. And I think it'll be a really great way to see all the beautiful creative work that our staff does. And last, but very much not least, the end of the year party will be on May 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Schultz Garden. We'll be having lots of good food and lots of good times. So the email will be sent out to our RSVP sometime either today or tomorrow. And you feel free to bring in +1s, +2s, or your whole family, whatever you'd like. So yeah, it'll be a really fun time. And now I'm going to hand it off to Stacy, Aggie, and Mary.
Hi, I am Stacy Poplowski, Assistant Director of Administrative Services and Chief Financial Officer, and I'm here with my team members to talk about administrative services. We provide customer-focused, centralized business services. We make sure our financial transactions are aligned with policies and procedures and aligned with executive team's strategic direction. This is our org chart. We are under the organizational effectiveness, and as you saw earlier, Mary joined us at the end of February, and we're happy to have her. And later on, we'll talk about how each individual can help you. Here's a listing of what we do. We get involved as early as onboarding with giving you your keys and building access, as well as authorizations for DocuSign and UT drivers. We process purchasing, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and financial reports. For example, everything in this room has gone through our office, from the furniture, the equipment, and the food that you're eating. Here are some of the tools and systems we use. Define is our main financial system. It was built by UT staff many decades ago. We also use Cognos and FRMS for financial reports. Some of you use Contracts Plus to request a contract, and that routes through our office for further approvals. We use TSYS, our merchant bank services, to process our daily printing deposits. And others you may recognize are Alma, UT Market, and Workday. And I'll hand it over to Mary.
So as Stacy said, we make sure that we're following all of the policies and procedures. So you may hear us refer to two different documents. One of those is the HBP, the Handbook of Business Procedures, and the other is the Handbook of Operating Procedures, the HOP. So those can be a little confusing. They sound a lot alike. The HBP is mostly internal and mainly points at fiscal documents. So those are rules either made in the Chief Financial Officer team or Accounting and Financial Management or Purchasing. Then the Handbook of Operating Procedures often focuses on some things that are external. So that comes from UT system or state law, and it's a little more expansive than financial. So it might apply to things like security or IT or HR.
Please find us on SharePoint. If you go to the main SharePoint site, we are listed at the top navigation. If you hover over it, it shows purchasing and travel, but if you click on it, this is our homepage. To the right is our staff, and we encourage you to go to our purchasing link on the left navigation, and that'll take you to the next slide. This is how it'll explain how to order things. To the right, we have all our forms as well as some policies listed. And the box that's highlighted here is our three main forms to get you what you need. And I'm going to turn it over to Aggie to explain those forms.
Hello, I'm Aggie McAllister. And who here, raise your hand, if you love filling out a form? Everyone does. All right, so glad to see that. So, as you could see by that slide a second ago, we have a variety for you to choose from. But as far as when you need to get something, we have three types that we sort of call purchase requests. The main one is the supplies purchase request, which is shown here. So this is for stuff like office equipment or software or something like that. I'm going to go through these a little quicker than I did before. Another kind for, say, the tacos that we just got is called the Official Occasion Expense Form, also known as an OEF. And the third kind is called an RTA. That's your request for travel authorization. Now, why are there three different kinds of forms? Well, because the way the form is built captures a different variety of information. So your travel information, there's no place to put it on a supplies purchase request. The same thing when you're buying boxed lunches for a meeting, the information that is needed for that there's no place to put it on an RTA. So that's why we have 3 different kinds of forms. Now, you may be thinking, but Aggie, I don't know which form to use. But Aggie, what do I do with it after I filled it out? You know what? We have this wonderful person on our staff who has decided that, hey, let's try to make this easier for people. And so we have some exciting enhancements coming up soon. And here to tell you a little bit more about that is our very own Mary Kemp.
Wow, that made forms sound really exciting. As I was mentioned earlier, I came from Financial Administrative Services. I was in something there called the Leadership Growth Program. So I have actually done a very long presentation on forms at UT and how they're really complicated and it's not fair, especially if you only fill out one form once a year. So I'm all about automation and making things easier. So some of that will use DocuSign, some of that might use some other tools, but those will be coming soon, and we will hopefully make it easier so you don't even have to think about who needs to approve it or sign it or anything. And it will have little tooltips. So it explains things like what an account number is, which seems simple but is not always. And like I said earlier, we are here for you. We are customer focused and we want to make sure we help everyone. So if there's something that you think that we can help you with that we don't currently, please reach out.
Now's the time where you all get to play a little game. So if you're wondering, those people down in administrative services, do they actually do anything all day? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. We're gonna find out right now. So our first question is, let's say a vendor's calling you and you need to cancel a check. What are you gonna do? Anyway, before we go on, does anyone have a guess? What might you do to get this information? Anyone know? An RTA? No, but thank you, Ethan. Well, we could, but even better, how about this? You can always email our listserv, or a great person to contact is Laura Sanders. She is, stand up, let everyone see you, Here's some other things Laura can do for you. She can set up vendors in the UT system so that we can pay them. She can check to see why hasn't someone been paid yet. She can do all kinds of that nature. And she's also very nice. Next one, who's the expert on entertainment? What kind of question might you have? You need to get food, like tacos, for a staff meeting. Who are you going to talk to? How are you going to get started? Lorraine says Aggie. I think she might have done this before. Yes, it's me. Or you can always start with our listserv. You might see a pattern with that. Here's some other things I can do for you. Some of you might not recognize my face, but maybe recognize my name. Maybe right before you started, you got an email from me about your key or your phone or whatever. Those are also things that I can do for you. Let's see, what's another thing? UT policy. Hint, someone was just talking about this a minute ago, if you were awake. Ethan says RTA. Again, he's wrong. So let's say you want to talk about how administrative services can work on a new project that you're thinking about, but you don't really know how to go about it. What's something you might do? Maybe an email to someone, or a call or a Teams to someone. Anyone? Show them. Mary Kemp, she is an expert, and she just told you a while ago about where she gets all this information, which you are welcome to look up as well. Or, let's face it, that takes a long time. You can just Teams Mary and she'll let you know. Next one. Oh, as I forgot, she also does all this other stuff. She can, if you need UT driver authorization, if you need a budget report, contact Mary. She can get you what you need. Purchasing. I bet people here have needed pens before. What kind of question might you have? Yeah, where are my pens? Where are my scissors? When will they arrive? How can you find out? Anyone? Come on, I gave you a hint with at least an email address. It's the listserv, or we have a specific person who can help you with this. Chris Kehoe. Chris, stand up, take a bow. Chris does some other things as well. Here's a list of them. All of the printing transactions that happen. Chris does daily deposits of those. He can answer questions about how that works. He can do contracts, exclusive acquisitions. He can walk you through how to do all that stuff. Teams, email, listserv, any of those are great. Who else do we have here? Budgets. Budgets are important because you want to know if you have money. So what kind of question might you have? Yeah, you have a question about your budget. What might you do? You can email the listserv or you can contact Stacy. Here's some other things Stacy can do for you. She can help you. Let's say you have a complaint about one of these other people I've mentioned. You can talk to Stacy. You can talk to Mary too. If you need problem solving or policy guidance as well, you can always talk to Stacy. She's here for you. And she's, of course, she's in charge of all of us. I think we have another couple scholarship awards. Like right after we're done in this room with this meeting, there is going to be an information literacy award celebration. And those students that won that are going to get some money. How do they get that money? Well, the person, say, maybe Sarah Brandt, who's in charge of that, might contact either the listserv or Colin Sheffield. Oh, wait, he's out of town right now. He's also down in our hallway, though. He'd love to see you if you want to pop in or give him a call. He also can do set vendors up to be paid. He can run reports for you. He does grant reports. So he does all that kind of budgety stuff. And wire transfers, I didn't mention that one earlier either. And finally, we have one person left in our unit. If you don't know who this is, you were not paying attention this whole time. Alma. If you have a question about Alma, which I do daily, or this is a good one. So some professor says, hey, I want to pay for this collection with money from the whatever department, but it's not library money. How do you work that out? All you have to do is Amy or the listserv. Amy is our resident genius on Alma. If you need help with anything, here's some other things that Amy can do. She can set up vendors like most of the rest of our group. She also is great for things like ALSEP questions, like what is ALSEP? She can do comparison reports for you and more. And now to wrap up that section, here's our fearless leader.
Thank you, Aggie. Since we deal with numbers on a daily basis, we are going to provide you with some numbers and feel free to guess what they are. The first one is 32 million. It has a dollar sign in front of it, so any guesses? Yes, thank you. It is our budget that we work with. 40,000. Any guesses? Tacos, okay. 40,000 is the number of transactions my staff reconciled last fiscal year. The next one, 495. Any guesses? Complaints? Oh, wow. 495 purchase requests are purchaser processed last fiscal year. 70. No RTAs in the 495. 70 RTAs? No. Any other guesses? This is how many budget documents we process annually, and we just finished our budget cycle this March, and we had about 76 documents this year. 13. Any guesses for 13? What's that? Months in a year? That's a really good one. It's also Taylor Swift's favorite number, but also 13 months is how many months we reconcile. 13th is a virtual month between the last fiscal year and the beginning of the new fiscal year, and it's for year-end entries.
Is that right?
Yes. Ethan was right. Okay. 8. Does anyone have any guesses for 8? EAJs, that's good. We have 8 pro cards that we manage in our office. 7? That's correct. We have 7 amazing colleagues that y'all gained from our office. And the last number is 113. Any guesses?
Months in a decade.
113 years of service from our 7 awesome colleagues, and 80 of those years are for library service from 7 of us. Yeah. And again, you can reach us at our library accounting email, LIBAC. Chat us on Teams. You can find us on SharePoint and our hallway suite that is very decorated year-round. And I'll hand it over to Crystal.
Hi y'all, I'm Crystal White-Baxter. I'm the head of assessment and user experience, and I am going to give you a brief update on our library's website. That's right. So this is a brief recent history of the website. I won't go back to the very beginning, but some people can remember what it was like then. So in 2018, we did a huge project and launched a complete redesign of the website. Since then, what has happened in 2019, the web steering cross-functional team, which was made up of people who were stakeholders in the redesign project, kind of took ownership of the website. And so some of you have probably submitted forms to the team when you had suggestions for the website. In 2021, the web steering CFT shifted to becoming the UX cross-functional team, and kind of also took over ownership of the website at that point. And then in 2023, our most recent change on the website was the whole site was rebuilt in Drupal, and our colleague Ethan, who we've heard from this morning, did the large majority of that work. It was a big project, but it was mainly like a back-end thing, and so you probably didn't notice a whole lot of changes when that happened. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information about some of the work that has been going on in the background. So Monica in LIT, I don't know if you're here, Monica, but she has been doing a lot of work to improve the accessibility of our website. And so you might notice like small things here or there. A lot of the things she's doing are really like code back-endy kind of things that you probably don't see, but they're really important to make sure that everyone can use our site. In addition to that, there has been a lot of ongoing research and incremental improvements happening. So you might see small shifts here and there. Our user experience designer, Melody Ethley, was on my team and was doing a lot of this research. She recently moved to another position. I'll talk about that more a little bit later. But she directed and did this research, and then Monica has been working to put a lot of these changes in place. Some of this was a little bit of cleanup from the Drupal move, because whenever you move things, stuff always breaks a little bit. And then some of it is reorganizing parts of the website that we thought would work whenever we originally redesigned it. And then, maybe in reality, we can't keep some things up to date like we thought we wanted to. And so just small changes to keep things moving and fresh. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about today, and Melody was going to give this presentation, but as I said, she has changed positions, so you get to hear from me, are some findings from a project we did looking at the global navigation of our site. I hope I don't break things trying to do this. I forgot to set it up, but I'm just going to go to... Sorry, I was too worried about getting a taco when I got here and not setting up what I needed to do. Okay, so here is our library's website. And the reason that we wanted to do this project, we did a campus-wide survey in 2022 that revealed in part that some of our users struggle with wayfinding. So finding their way around both our physical locations and our website. And so the assessment team has been working with various folks throughout the organization to work on these issues. They're big issues because they really get to the heart of what we do. And so it's taking a lot of lead time to research and plan. And so that's what I'm talking about. So we also have added to our digital platform since the redesign in 2018. And so when I'm talking about the global nav, I am talking about.
You're actually, yeah, you might,
There we go. Since our website is responsive, you didn't see it because the window was squished. So now you can see it. So that's these links across the top here. And when you hover on them, well, live demos, right? So that's those links across the top right there. That's our global navigation, and some of them you might notice have been getting longer and longer and longer as the years go by because we're adding all these great projects that we're doing. So we kind of need to rethink how we organize things in a holistic manner at this point. We've been using various methods to look at the global navigation, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about a tree test that Melody spearheaded and we did. So next slide. Oh. Okay, so you might have noticed there was a link, a pop-up link on the website for a while earlier in the semester, or maybe last semester, I don't know when it was, but asking people to participate in this tree test. And so the way it worked is we had all of these tasks. Each participant was shown 4 tasks to complete that directly related to existing content living in the current navigation. And there were 13 total tasks, and people would just get a random mixture of 4 of those. And so an example task is like this one. You and a couple of friends are planning to go to the library tomorrow. Each of you has a different reason. One of you wants to study for a test, one needs to attend a Zoom class, one needs to read for an upcoming class. Find a place to go that will suit each of your needs. And so the user would then be given that little menu you see on the left-hand side there, and they would have to select where they thought they would find it. And then based on that, they would get kind of the next level down and have to select from there. And then eventually we ended up with 850 participants, and we were able to see how well our navigation organization worked for folks. Next slide, please. So we found lots of things. Some of our key findings were people experienced a lot of uncertainty in the research, help, and support menu in particular. They often chose the incorrect answer, or they maybe had to back-click to figure out what they were looking for. Some of the tasks within that menu had 98 to 99% fail rates. And so we also need to look at our jargon because clearly some of the terms we are using are not resonating for our users. Participants also had trouble being decisive within the second tier menus that were broadly labeled, so things like find materials or get help. People would choose those for any range of things because that's so broad, like get help, yes, I need help, I'm on the site, I'm trying to get help. So that's something else that we're probably gonna need to look at. And also, in addition to the tree test, we look at Google Analytics, and we have seen that people are not using the global nav as much as we maybe expected. Lots of people just use Google to come into our site these days, but also within the site, they're using the quick links that are under the main search bar more than they're using the things at the top. So all of this tells us that we need to create a web content strategy, including what belongs in the navigation menu and what is on a regular page, and just rethink all of that. So what now? This is work that my team was going to undertake, but we have an open position. And so when we hire a UX strategist that we are now, like I said, the position's open, that person will be the owner of the website. And so they will make all the final decisions about everything. and they will undertake a homepage refresh project with LIT. And so this will be a larger project than any of the ones that we have done since the whole site redesign in 2018. We're not redesigning the whole site again, but it's going to be a refresh to the main homepage. And another change in this position is that they are going to focus entirely on online user experience. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to support in-person physical user experience. And so for now, while we're kind of in this in-between moment before we have a new person in, you can continue to submit tickets for content updates on the website, as you always have if you had some kind of update that needs to be done. And if you have a question about any kind of in-person user experience, you can contact the assessment team, and Ruhia and I will be happy to help you out with that. So our team's still going to be supporting that aspect of user experience. It's just going to shift away from that position to the assessment team. And we all work together anyway, so. All right, that's what I have to say. Thank y'all.
Hi, I'm Aaron Choate. I'm the Director for Research and Strategy, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the work that we've been doing over the past few months, digging into artificial intelligence. Next slide. You might have noticed that artificial intelligence has been a significant topic recently, and so we established this interest group that we're going to be showing you some examples of the things that we've been digging into in this conversation. Next slide, please. The interest group has been formed, and you'll see the topic here. We're digging into the potential applications of artificial intelligence, as well as the impacts of artificial intelligence on the kinds of things that we're trying to do in the libraries. We wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about it within the libraries and archives community so that we understood the kinds of things that we could do to enable artificial intelligence on campus and in our collections, but also understand the kinds of things that people are going to want to be doing with our collections and the kinds of things that the operations elsewhere are going to have an impact on us. Ooh. Back, please. Back, please. I want to make sure that we highlight that the interest group is open to our entire community. We have participants from across the campus, from all of the collections. And so if you're interested, we're going to have the URL up in a little bit. Please feel free to go to that URL and join. All right. The meetings that have occurred so far have dug into these topics: reference and research support, metadata cataloging, and technical services. We had a workshop where Michael went through some of the work that he's going to show us today, and then Hannah Mutron showed us some work that she's been doing understanding large language models and how we can work with those. We had a session on ethics considerations, and then one talking about how generative AI can be used to do creative work. We have one more scheduled for next month, or actually this month. So go to that URL that we're going to show you in a little bit and sign up and join us, please. Next talk. There's the URL. It's a WordPress site, so just feel free to go there. We have a form there. It's right there in the header. It says join. And really, we're not placing a limit on who can participate. What we're asking you to do there is to share a little bit about your interest and how we can better modify the things that we're doing to facilitate your interest in the topic. So, next slide, please. All right, Michael.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Michael Shensky, Head of Research Data Services for the UT Libraries. I'm going to be talking to you today about an automated map georeferencing project that we've been working on for a few years. It uses machine learning to help us hopefully save a lot of time with a very important task. So I'm going to be introducing you to this as we go through this in the next 6 minutes. It's very technical. And not off to a good start. Let's see if I can bring that back. Yeah, that'd be fantastic, yeah, because we're going to go pretty fast. It's technical. I'm going to use a lot of pictures to hopefully help you all understand what it is that we've been working on over the last several years. All right, fantastic. All right, so a background here. You might be familiar with our PCL map collection. It's very popular, widely utilized, and we have over 200,000 physical maps in our collection, 70,000 of which approximately have been scanned and are made available on our website, which is fantastic, but there's more that we can be doing with these scanned map images, and that is why we are focusing on georeferencing them so that we can share them through our Texas Geodata portal that launched in 2019. What is georeferencing, you might ask? It is the process of assigning geographic coordinates to a map image so that we know where it should be placed on Earth when we load it into GIS software and try to layer it up with other geospatial data sets. So an example here, if we don't know the coordinates attached to a Sanborn fire insurance map, for instance, the software doesn't know where to put it. It places it where the prime meridian and the equator intersect there off the coast of Africa. That's not where that map should go. But if we go through the georeferencing process, look there at the next example on the right-hand side, we see that it shows up correctly over this small town in Texas, and that's where it should appear. And we can see, this historical map compared to a modern map of that city today. That's really useful for geospatial analysis, historical research, and all kinds of other things that we might want to do. Now, what is the problem that we're running into? Well, we have approximately 70,000 maps that we would like to georeference and make available to researchers here on campus and to members of the public, but it takes about 10 minutes to successfully georeference some of these maps. And if we think about georeferencing 70,000 maps at 10 minutes per map, that might take about 6 years for one person just working on that, full time. That's not realistic. So what can we do? Is there anything that might allow us to automate the georeferencing of these maps? Essentially, can we teach a computer to do it for us? So that's what we've been exploring over the past few years. We tried to determine if we can look at these historical maps, these Sanborn fire insurance maps specifically for this proof of concept, and determine whether we can identify the intersections, street intersections in these historical maps and compare that historical intersection data with modern street data, which is widely available through the Census Bureau and other sources, and use the street intersection data that we have geographic coordinates for to identify the matching intersection in our historical maps, and then use that coordinate information to georeference the map without us having to do anything. It will basically be a process the computer can execute on its own. So we wanted to explore doing this with the Sanborn fire insurance maps for a few reasons. We have about 14,000 or so Sanborn fire insurance maps in the PCL map collection. So that is a very large portion of the collection that we have digitized and made available through the collections portal. And we want to make that available through the Texas Geodata portal. It's a large collection, and we thought we had a good methodology for automating the process by relying on those street intersection points. What we needed to do first was annotate some of our Sanborn fire insurance maps to identify what street intersections look like on these maps. And so what we did is we placed a dot every time we found a street intersection using special software that we custom created through the ML4 GIS project, which you might have heard me talk about in previous years. So using this custom annotation tool, we created a data set to train a new model that can identify these intersections for us. We used that training data set to develop an object detection model. Hannah Doobie, a former UTL employee, was really critical in this effort of training this object detection model for us. So a large language model wouldn't really be able to do this for us. ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or other tools you might have tested, it can't identify these intersections. We needed to train our own model to do that. And we were able to do that successfully last summer. This is what it looks like when it is able to identify the locations of intersection points on a Sanborn fire insurance map image. So that doesn't look particularly exciting if we're just looking at the actual data, but this is really useful to us. This is a visualization of essentially what is happening. All of those purple squares are a bounding box around the intersection that the model has been able to identify. And the blue and red lines, I'll talk about here in just a second, that's where we are looking for street labels associated with those intersections. This is a cutout of street labels from a Sanborn fire insurance map, so we can see that we're automatically able to detect where these labels occur because we've found the intersection points using the object detection model. And then we can use optical character recognition to read the label, and we can match up the label with the intersection point, and now we know where these historical intersections existed in these city maps. We can download modern street intersection data with geographic coordinates, from the Census Bureau Tigerline website, or we're trying out a new approach that would use OpenStreetMap data. When we match the historical street intersection coordinates on the image to the geographic coordinates from modern data, we can georeference the map automatically without us needing to put in any work, which is fantastic. And so we used a Python script to automate this georeferencing process for us. And we can see 13% of our maps georeferenced successfully. That might seem like a relatively low success rate. These maps turned out basically as good as what we would have achieved if we had manually georeferenced them. But 13% of 14,000 Sanborn maps is almost 2,000 maps that the computer could basically do on its own. So that is our plan, is to scale this up and try to run this against the whole collection and eventually apply this approach to other collections as well. 4% of our results were okay. You can see these are a little bit distorted. 83% did not go so well. We have some problems, right? But that's great, because that means there's a lot of room for improvement. This is just a proof of concept. We definitely will be making great strides as we move forward here in the months ahead. So looking forward to that. Plenty of next steps here, ideas that we have for improving this process. Let's see, I'm doing right on time. So yes, plenty of ideas for how we can do even better and roll this process out. A lot of people to acknowledge that have been involved in this project over the last several years. So I want to thank everyone that's contributed to this. It's really been a team effort, and really excited to hopefully be adding a lot of georeference maps to the Texas Geodata portal soon. Thank you all.
Okay, hello everyone. To those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Anna Hackett. I am the Information Literacy Librarian, and
I'm Michelle Oster. I'm the Assistant Director for Teaching and Learning Services.
And we worked with a team to make a research guide about our artificial intelligence. I'm going to show you a little bit of that today. I'm in fact going to show you what I can show you in 3 minutes. But one thing we want to emphasize about this guide is that it's for every member of the UT community. Whether you already have a lot of knowledge about artificial intelligence, or if you're like me and you're just kind of figuring it out as it goes along, it's for you. So wow, I can only show you this in 3 minutes. Definitely go back, explore it more for later. On that note, right on the front page, we start with a glossary. I work a lot with undergraduates, and one of the first things you work with undergraduates is you have to know what questions you're asking before you can really find out information. And in order to create a question, you have to know the words that go into that. So I know I had a habit of, before I started working on this, I was just referring to all artificial intelligence as ChatGPT. There are other kinds. So looking at things like the glossary kind of helps you start on that road a little bit. We hear a lot of scary things about AI all the time, but the thing is, there's a lot of really lovely things about it too, both in research and all the other things you can do with it. So we have a tab here on benefits and limitations, because of course there are some limitations. I know with my students, I find they really struggle to think of keywords to search in databases, because we're all very used to Googling things. ChatGPT can be very helpful to figure out associated keywords for different topics. And of course, there's many other things you can do with it as well. Of course, some of those scary things you hear about AI are true. For example, things about ethics. I didn't really know as much about the ethical issues with AI before we started working on this. Of course, there is that big fear of plagiarism happening, students just creating papers. And while unfortunately that does sometimes happen, there are other things that happen as well. Particularly with the issue of bias that comes up. Remember, there's no one vetting the information on artificial intelligence. But also issues with privacy, environmental impact, and labor issues. This labor issues one in particular, I feel like does not get enough attention. So I encourage all of you to look more into that, because that is a very big issue with artificial intelligence. And also one thing we are working on creating is trying to have a running list of different news that's coming up about AI. There's been a few things that has kind of stumbled a little bit creating that little tool, but that is something we're still working on. So hopefully that will be working right there. On that note, as with all research guides, and perhaps if your role doesn't have you interacting with those as much, you might not realize this, research guides are living documents. So we're coming back together every 6 months, this team, to update it, because this is an issue that's changing very quickly. In particular, with things like copyright and citations, we still don't know fully, we don't fully understand yet what's going to happen with copyright of things that were created by AI, either in full or in part. That's an ongoing issue. So check back at this research guide. Definitely see it as we update it, maybe even more frequently than 6 months if big things happen. But of course, if you come across information you would like included, you can definitely reach out to us, particularly because all of our names are right there. And so I think that was 3 minutes, so now I'm going to turn it over to Michelle.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the intersection of AI literacy and information literacy, in teaching and learning in the libraries and on campus. And so I'm going to go back to this. We're kind of minimalist slide makers in TLS, so we only have 2 slides. Let's see, where are the slides? Here we go. Why is it not going? Oh, it's the clicker now. Okay. So, why is it? Okay. I guess forward is backwards. Help. It won't go forward. Okay, there we go. So there's the URL for the guide, and you can also just do a search in the guides in that link under the search box on the main page for artificial intelligence, and you'll find the guide. Can you do the next slide since you can run the clicker? Okay, and this is what I'm going to talk about. So I think it's really important to first understand what AI literacy is in order to understand how we're engaging with it in the libraries. There isn't yet a standard definition of it that's widely accepted, but all the definitions that I've read, and I've read many, include a few specific things. So you need to understand how AI works, kind of what's under the hood, and I don't mean that from a technical perspective. You don't need to be a computer scientist, like Erin was saying. Anybody with curiosity can join this group and learn about it. You can learn on your own. You just kind of need to understand, like, what's a large language model, how does it get trained, what's kind of sucked into it, that sort of thing. You also need to be able to think critically about AI. What are its benefits and limitations? When is it going to help you, and when is it going to cause harm? And then you're going to obviously need to know how to use it. So when it comes to AI in the research process, I think it's kind of clear that AI literacy is fundamental to that. If you want to choose the best tools for your needs, you need to understand what different tools encompass and how they work. And then you need to be able to evaluate that tool for your purposes and then evaluate the output. And this is information literacy in a nutshell, really, and as it applies to artificial intelligence. So as we develop the LibGuide further, there's still some pages coming. Prompt engineering, which is kind of like the equivalent of search, like using keywords successfully to search in library resources. Prompt engineering is that for using generative AI. So there'll be a page about that. And then we're also working on a page about how to incorporate AI literacy into courses that will be for faculty to use or for librarians to use with faculty. So what we're seeing right now in library instruction, since ChatGPT sort of burst onto the scene and broke the internet in fall of 2023, we have been talking a lot about it, formally and informally in the libraries. We'd have a few discussion groups to see, like, what are we seeing on campus and how is this appearing? So we're not seeing like a mad rush to the libraries to have us talk in our classes about ChatGPT or AI more generally. But it is coming up, and it can come up in different ways. So we may be asked to add something to our course guide. We might be asked to facilitate a discussion about it in class, and sometimes we're asked to help create an assignment. So the assignments that we have created on campuses will also appear in our information literacy toolkit and be linked from this guide. We just like Anna said, this is perpetually evolving, and so everyone's response to it and how they embrace it or ignore it or anything in between is going to evolve as well. What we're seeing in national surveys right now is that undergraduate students are using this much more heavily than faculty are embracing it, which isn't surprising, but and they're not necessarily all using it to cheat. That's not what I'm implying at all, but we're seeing kind of a slower development on the faculty side in terms of uptake. So what we're doing on campus, like I said, there's lots of different responses from banning it or ignoring it in your class as a faculty member to fully embracing it and everything in between. There is no policy at UT about whether or not faculty should use AI or can't use AI. This is just academic freedom. as you might expect. They just need to comply with FERPA and information security, and those are really the only policies in place. But there is a lot of guidance, and that's all collected on the guide, the campus guidance. Here are a few things that are happening on campus right now. So Dr. Yan Zhang, who is a professor in the iSchool, was just invited to submit a full IMLS grant to, it's called Gen AI Literacy for college students. That's generative AI literacy. And it's the goal of it is to create kind of a toolkit or cookbook for teaching AI literacy to college students. And there are a few of these already in existence for high school students, one from Stanford and one from MIT, but there isn't really one for college students yet. And I'm going to, if we get the money, I'll be one of the librarian advisors on that. And if you are interested in hearing more about it, come to the next interest group meeting, because she's going to be speaking there. She's great. We're also starting to see UT license AI tools. So Microsoft Copilot is now available for everybody to use, and you can link to that through the guide. Microsoft Copilot, if you're not familiar with it, includes the paid version of ChatGPT, so like way better than the free one, and also includes DALL-E, the paid version of that, and there isn't a free version of that anymore. The nice thing about having it licensed through UT is that it takes care of some of the privacy and ethical issues, because the input that we, as UT students, faculty, and staff, give the tool with every query that we ask it can't be used to train the model and can't be stored. So you're not giving away your labor for free. There's a lot less privacy issues. The Office of Academic Technology is piloting Grammarly right now. Some of you may be familiar with that. If anybody in here has a high school student in their household, they might be using it in their high school. So we'll kind of see what comes of that. They're using that. They're working with faculty who want to pilot in their courses. And then, of course, the Center for Teaching and Learning has been involved with this for a long time. Since it really hit the scene, they've been pulling together lots of folks to provide workshops, and they've been having lots of faculty discussions about it. And they're now working on a toolkit of their own about using AI in the classroom. And they're going to be pointing to and pulling in what we create about using AI in the research process and for information literacy. And that's it. I think I made my 3 minutes. I talked as fast as I could. I'll turn it over to Corey. Thanks.
Hey, good morning, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Corey Halachek, and I'm the head of content management, which is our term for technical services for those of us that have been in the library game for a while. So my team handles all of the acquisitions, licensing of resources, cataloging, renewals, management, all of that stuff. And I mention that because while we're a decently sized department of around 20 people, kind of spread out into 3 different teams, we process a lot of material. Just as an example, last week alone, we activated 9,600 e-resources. We did about 1,200 hours of cataloging spread across copy cataloging and original cataloging, opened up and took out of boxes about 700 items. And so as I walk through kind of how AI might assist my team, keep those numbers in mind. So just really quickly, we're spread out across 3 subunits. Basically, the resource acquisitions, management and processing team, you can think of them as the folks that do the front end work, right? The buying, the investigation, negotiation of licensing, the processing of materials, those type items. And then we have 2 units who are dedicated to the kind of back end work that deal more with the cataloging and descriptive work. Cool. So I love AI. I would love to be up here and say that AI is going to replace cataloging in like 2 years and how awesome this is going to be. It's not true. It's never going to happen. As excited as I am about the technology and the tools that we have, people are always going to be around. And so as I look through this, kind of my focus and lens is to think about things that are practical, that actually can impact the work that my team does in a way that makes sense. Thinking about technology and AI opportunities that are mission driven, that support the teaching, research, and learning that goes on here at UT. Easy-ish to operationalize. While I have a decently sized team, they're busy folks. Just really quick, if you're on my team, stand up right now if you're in this room. But thank you. I've got at least another 5 people upstairs that are busily working away, trying to keep things moving as well. So we try to divide our time strategically as well. And so it's important to us to think about things that we can do and or piggyback existing technology that way. And then last but not least, when we look at AI, where it's there to enhance our work, not to replace the individuals, and I cannot stress that enough. So a few things that we're starting to look at as AI slowly starts to impact technical services work. On the acquisition side, looking at things that can automate the ordering and payment processes, right? So in a given week, one of my employees might handle, 500 invoices that come in they need to look at, just to process, double check, things like that. If we can streamline some of those, particularly for renewals, that would be great. That would take a lot of things off people's plates so they can look at new purchases, right? Go through and verify that the information is correct, the funds are correct, the funds exist in accounts, so we're not waiting around to transfer money, things like that. Also looking at collection management data to recommend purchases that we make. So if we see that people in the discovery layers are looking at certain topics and we've noticed that we don't support that necessarily, they're not checking out material in a specific collection area, we can provide that information to make recommendations that maybe there's an opportunity for subject liaisons to think about purchasing and supporting those areas as well. And lastly, in acquisitions, also recommendations for sourcing of materials. We're creatures of habit in technical services. We like the vendors that we like, but that doesn't always mean there's not other sources available that we may be able to get things for better prices, or in the case of electronic resources, better terms. And so using AI to crawl, look at other institutions' data, compare that to see where other folks are getting their procurement from, we may also be able to implement things like that. On the licensing side of the house, we review licenses that take a couple of weeks, some take multiple months, and we may be able to automate some of that review process and look for terms as well to kind of speed that along and flag things. If you're not aware, the state of Texas has a lot of rules, regulations, and laws that impact what we can buy. And so there are lengthy addendums that we have to make sure that we comply with. And so allowing AI to look at that and standardizing language across the board would help speed that along through the process. And then lastly, with licenses, with quality control and compliance, same thing. Over the years, right, licenses, when we negotiate them, end up with different terms. Over time, some of those licenses may no longer be compliant, and so we could do a comparison between the two to add the language that we need to add to get that up to speed. And then lastly, on kind of getting the stuff processing, despite really good efforts to buy more electronic resources, we still buy and receive a lot of physical material, like a lot. Come on up to the 5th floor sometimes, I'll give you a tour. And so that stuff is handled by 3 people, okay? And so anything we can do to speed that along, right? Thinking about things like automating processes, making sure that items that come quote unquote shelf ready, right? Those are already barcoded, have security strips. Sometimes the folks that set that up put the wrong barcode on. And so we catch it and we have to do it, but having a system in place that can scan that for us would be very helpful. Increasing visibility around collections. So if we have items that have been specifically requested by faculty, moving that to the top of the production queue to get that out quicker. And then also thinking about the timeframes in which we order materials, right? So we don't end up with lots of boxes at one time, but thinking about how processing and acquisitions can work together with data to spread that out over a lengthier period of time. So we're avoiding bottlenecks that come in. And then some other things on the scripted side of the house, the cataloging. Again, we're kind of divided into two units. We have one that handles cataloging in-house, and then we have a unit that does kind of our outsourced cataloging as well as some strategic languages in-house. So on the easy stuff, and it's all relative, it's never really easy, thinking about how we might speed along things like copy cataloging. If you're not aware, a large portion of the cataloging work we do is copy cataloging, where folks look in to find an existing record and import that into our discovery layer. So if we can automate that process in a way that makes sense, that would take a lot of that work removed so people can actually focus on original cataloging, which I would suggest is more meaningful work and actually more important, not only to the institution, but also to libraries everywhere as our records get imported and exported to other institutions. It can also help to enhance original cataloging. I mentioned shelf ready, and liaisons know this. Sometimes we get records that aren't super great when they come in, and so my team will spend time enhancing those records to make them better. AI can actually provide an opportunity to speed along some of that work and automate some of that enhancement work so we don't have to do it. And then also we do a lot of record cleanup and maintenance, right? So someone will look at a record, submit a RAD ticket, and they'll be like, this record sucks. Can you help us fix it? And my team goes back in and reviews it and fixes it, right? So again, kind of those high touch, low thought processes can be automated to free people up for more meaningful and more focused work. And then finally, on the outsource side, again, we outsource things because we either don't have the capacity to work on them, right? It's things that we just have too much of, or we lack the language expertise to do it. So here's the fun thing about language expertise, right? We don't have the expertise. So we send it out and it comes back. We trust people to say it's coming back correctly. We don't really know, right? So AI can actually help us review that and quality check it to make sure that what we're receiving is actually good as well. Same thing with vendor sourcing. We have a small group of vendors. There may be others out there. We can use AI to look across more broadly and take a look and maybe recommend some other opportunities. And then this is the big one, fingers crossed, one day, perhaps we can save tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars as AI comes on board to do better language cataloging. So maybe we can move away from that outsourced language cataloging. Long way off, not close there, but I can dream and hope. And so that's what I got. One thing I'll mention very quickly, as we move forward, my team will be looking at ways to think about operationalizing this and forming kind of a small working group and looking for experts outside of my team. If it's something you think you might be excited in doing, come see me. I live on the first floor. If I'm not there, I'm on the 5th floor with my folks. One of the first things we'll start to see roll out, everybody here I hope knows what ALMA is. The evil master robotic overlords at ALMA have just released enhanced catalog for shared collections, right? Community zone records, which are records we pull in. So we're going to start looking at those to see how good those are as well, because that's that first step in that enhancement phase. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I don't know if Aaron, you got to get back up here or, all right, sweet.
All right, time check. Do we actually have any time for questions or? All right, so if you have any questions about any of what we just said, feel free to raise your hand. We have a mobile microphone. And I just want to highlight while we're waiting to see if anybody does have a question, Hannah Moutron. She's not here today, but I wanted to highlight her because she's been our research assistant on this project and has been really doing a great job with us, helping to coordinate the events that we've been holding. And she's also doing a research project as part of her capstone that we're looking forward to hearing about later this summer. So I just want to make sure everybody sees her. And you can reach out to any of us about anything if you wanted to and join the group. We really want you to get involved. It's an ongoing conversation. There's a lot more conversation to be had. This is not a done topic at all. So please join the group if you want.
Coming.
It's an artificially intelligent question.
Hi, Aaron. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Michelle mentioned that there's a UT license for Dolly, and I was curious. Where'd Michelle go?
She's right here.
Is she blocked by a beam? You are blocked by a beam. How do we access that? Is that in the LibGuide? And do we have to? Is there a Discord that we have to? Is there like a UT Discord that we have to join?
You can get to it from the LibGuide, and it'll take you to the. Let me just show you really quick. That's a great question. There hasn't been any campus communication widely yet, but we should be seeing something from Mario at some point. But if you go to the generative AI tools, the first box highlights what's been licensed by UT so far, and you can get to it there. It tells you the limitations of it, but this is the license that we have, and any student, faculty, and staff member can use it. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so it's in the guide.
It's in the guide. Yep.
Thanks, Jeff. I just had a question for Michael, and I don't know, you may have mentioned this and I may not have caught it. So how long did AI take to do the 13% 2000, Sanborn maps to georeference them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we only ran it on, I think it was about 180 maps for just the smallest towns in Texas to see how it would do, and it processed them in a couple of minutes. So if you think that to georeference 13% of those maps, would have taken, it's a small number that we ran it on there, but, would have taken several hours. And then if we ramp that up to run the whole process against 14,000 maps, that could save us months of, manual work. So pretty exciting.
Great. Yeah, thanks. That's a big difference in the 6 years it would take a person to do it.
Okay, I promised I would be back, and I won't keep you from food because there's some left, I think. I've got a few topics here, but I'd like to start by saying you've probably all seen the news around SB 17. If you have read the newspapers or news outlets, especially in Texas, the news is not good. And the news got worse here on our own campus just this week. It's emotionally traumatizing to know that people have been laid off on this campus, 60 of them, even though the university tried to comply with the law in January. All I want to say about this is that UT Libraries, thanks to you all and your directors, and Melissa Lowe here with me, did a thorough review of everything we do in UT Libraries. And we submitted our forms to make sure that we complied with the law. There's no reason for any of you to feel anxious about your job, okay? I did not get a notice to say X amount of people need to be laid off. So I thank you for complying with the law. I cannot do anything about the law if you do not comply. I cannot help you. Please make sure that you read the law and that you comply. Each one of us represents the university in what we say and what we do. And if you are not sure about the work that you do, or hopefully not try to be too creative, make sure you ask questions. Ask your supervisor, ask your manager about it, okay? I want us all to be here and continue the good work that we do. So please don't break the law. Make sure that you ask questions if you're not sure. Got it? I'm not going to talk a whole lot about AI because every meeting and every conference I go to, we hear more about AI. I think you've heard enough this morning, and I'm so pleased to see the amount of work, thanks Aaron, and each one of you who have completed your presentations here this morning to inform us about the potential of AI here in the library. And as Corey just reminded us, it's not here to replace anybody. It's here for us to enhance and learn, become more efficient, effective, etc., and to create partnerships with people on campus also. I love the idea of developing literacies, not just AI literacies, but all kinds of digital literacies as we move further into this ecosystem. It's not going away. It's not going away, and I think it's important for us as a library, especially a large research library, to remain relevant and to align with what the user expectations might be and what the emerging technologies will drive in this ecosystem as well. I want to turn for a minute now to staff appreciation and updates. There are more than 200 of you. I just work here. You are doing all the work. And I'm so appreciative of that. Today, I want to call out a few of our colleagues. And I want to call them out because of very specific things that they have done. Our library storage facility team, cleanup team, they're probably watching us online right now. So if you could turn around and wave at them all into the camera and say thank you for what I'm going to share with you here. In, I think it was January, with that exceptional cold week. Remember, we had winter in January for 1 week. There was a pipe in the LSF1, the oldest of the library storage facilities, that was impacted. I think it froze, and then there was water leakage. There was a flood, a big one, a terrible flood. They addressed it. This is Ben Rodriguez and his team, and I'm going to list each of their names in a minute here. They moved materials to keep them safe and allow for the work to determine the extent of the damage, helping avoid loss of collections for UTL. Have you ever been to the LSF or the library storage facility? Have you? Yeah. So you know how many thousands and thousands and thousands of items we have packed in trays, and they all stack floor to ceiling. So you know exactly how long it takes to get up there and take them down, etc. That's what this team did to make sure that our collections remained safe. They are Kristen Allen, Ben Chang, who lives here but helped, Anissa Girard, James Isahad, Seth Kramer, Brian Kruger, Agatha Kwasnik, Jason Lopez, Stephanie Lopez, Ben Rodriguez, the team lead there, Jeremy Thompson, the other one, was one in the room here, and there's one over there as well, Kayla Westbrooks, and Britt Wilson. Please join me in showing our appreciation. So Ben and Kayla and Britt are here on the 40 acres, but the rest of this team works up there. About 2 weeks ago, the Benson hosted a Nicaraguan writer and political dissident, Gioconda Belli. I went, and by far, they do good parties at the Benson and they do excellent programming, but this one was absolutely my favorite. I wish you could all have been there to experience Gioconda Belli, who now lives in Spain. Her public talk generated a great deal of interest and a large crowd in the new Harkness reading room, or the renovated one, and I was incredibly moved by every aspect of that event. It is clear that our colleagues who helped plan and support that visit truly dedicated themselves to delivering the highest quality of support and service. I received an email letter after the event recognizing our sound engineers who are sitting right there at the back of the room this morning, who make sure that the audiovisual equipment is working perfectly. As a professional singer in the audience, I took note that I could hear Gioconda perfectly. This is somebody writing this email to me. We have many staff who work behind the scenes to make sure such technology, room setup, and other event details run smoothly for all our events, no matter the size. So I want to thank the people, and several of them are in the room here today. Melissa Guy, who is the Nettie Lee Benson director of the Benson, Dylan Joy, Susanna Sharp, Al Johnson, or AJ, he's here, I think I saw him, Ryan Lynch, Liz Gaza, and the entire Benson team. In addition, I want to thank people who in PCL helped as well. Annie Stubbs, Aggie McAllister, Jeff Baer, Bill Gannon, Greg Acker, Kent Scott, Michael Rodriguez, Travis Willman, Robert Esparza, and Meredith Black. Please join me in saying thank you to all of them. I I have an organizational update to share with you very quickly, and that is that the captioning and transcription service will move. This was a service that was launched a decade ago and has been a great success here at UT Libraries. Some of the people who led that has since left. But as the university adopts more online technology and approaches in 2024, a cross-campus committee recommended that that service be moved to central IT. The transition is underway, and by the end of May, captioning and translation services will be part of central IT here at UT. Daniel Jacobs has since left us, but he was our team lead on that service. He left for a new opportunity, but I do want to thank him for his leadership, for building this service and the team into something that is ready to expand and scale up to do even more for UT. As part of this transfer, Nora, who was up here earlier, will be joining that team in ITS. We are sad to see Nora transition to central IT, but we're also excited that there will be more support and opportunity for her on that expanded team. So more information about transition will be included in my VP update to you on Monday. Typically, that's when you can expect to see one. As you know, we are barreling down towards the end of this semester, and our students are busy in here. It's wonderful to see them, obviously, here. And I see every day, as I walk around this library, your commitment to serve not just our students, but our faculty and our staff and our community as well, because all are welcome at UT Libraries. Many people don't know that. Always need to remind them that as a Texas resident, they have access to UT Libraries. So thank you for all you do. I've already talked about SB 17, so I just want to reiterate that for the most part, our work remains the same as it was before new laws like SB 17 went into effect on January 1st. The legislation continues to be in the news, as I mentioned, particularly as our elected officials discuss the upcoming session, which starts in January. I've received some questions from some of you about uncertainties. You know, how will I know? As I said earlier, please make sure that you ask your supervisor or your manager, check in before you assume it's okay to carry on. I don't want anybody in the library, or the library for that matter, to be the reason why the university's funding may be threatened or withheld. Finally, I want to focus quickly on some upcoming events. Tonight, if you want a party, go to Aviva Vos. 6 o'clock over in the hotness room over at the Benson. I'm going. Be there or be square, all right? You have heard much about the solar eclipse and the Edible Book Fest, thanks to LSC. That's next Monday. I keep hearing it's going to be cloudy and perhaps even rainy. We will celebrate the eclipse. It's going to get dark, clouds and all. It's going to get dark. So I hope we will all be able to enjoy at least the hour that the president is affording us. Go get your glasses. I don't know if we'll see it or not, but, you know, we'll celebrate it. And as Nora has already indicated, on Friday, May 17th, we'll have the events, Library Awards events here in the morning. You will hear more about that in person. And then after 5 is when we'll go over to the beer garden to celebrate with your families and significant others as well. Next week is National Library Week. Anybody remember? Yeah. It's a difficult time for libraries, especially in Texas. We are not directly affected by that, but many other libraries are, not just in Texas, but elsewhere in the country as well. And I just want to let you know, many people still do trust libraries, librarians, and people who work in libraries. That's true, but many others see us as threats and dangers as well. And we need to straddle that line in the work that we do for other people in the operations, the collections that we collect and acquire for others as well. I had asked Provost Wood for comments about the libraries, and she had hoped to be here this morning in this meeting. She could not, unfortunately, but she sent these comments for me to read to you, and so I'm going to do that right now. From Provost Wood, while I'm not able to join all of you this morning, I wanted to share a few remarks through Lorraine and convey my appreciation for all the work you do for our campus community. It's my understanding that next week is Library National Week. It goes without saying that our campus libraries and all that you do for us is appreciated throughout the year. Our physical libraries themselves are incredible resources, but it is through all of you, the exemplary UT library staff, where we see the true impact of how your expertise and skills transform our campus. With your resourcefulness, excellent service, and commitment to advanced teaching, research, and learning, you're creating an interconnectedness on our campus. Our UT libraries represent both the people and the place where resources, staff, and scholars come together. It is through our libraries that we become a collaborative of innovative hubs. But you are also in the forefront of thinking about our student, faculty, and staff population and their ever-changing needs and expectations. Your guide and knowledge seekers, you guide our knowledge seekers and meet them where they are. But you also think about their expectation and anticipate their needs. This mindset is critical in how we educate our students and assist our faculty now and in the future. And we have wonderful examples of this, such as the recent opening of the Scholars Lab, and its use as a technology-driven campus-wide resource that is enhancing relationships across our colleges, our schools, and other units. This is one of the many examples where you are expanding the expertise, the creativity, and resources that this university is known for. My sincerest thank you for all that you do. I hope all of you receive the extra recognition and appreciation you deserve during National Library Week celebration next week. Provost Sharon Wood. I think it's a wonderful recognition of what you all do, and it is noticed, so thank you all from me as well. And with that, I think we are a few minutes over, but are there any questions about anything? Anything that was presented or anything specifically to me or to anybody in the room who can answer the question? This is a quiet group this morning. Well, let me just say it was wonderful to meet many of our new staff members in person this morning, and thank you for wearing your name tag this morning. On Zoom, it's easy to know who you are, not so much in person, so I appreciate all those who put on their name tags. And with that, I'll declare the meeting closed and wish you all a very happy rest of the day and National Week next week as well. Hooker.